this is Elizabeth. Welcome back to Live, Craft, and Love. This is going to be the third episode of my mini album tutorial. We're going to be building the pages and matting the paper onto the album. I am not going to film or like do a tutorial on how I embellished the album. I might do a process video of how I did it, like just showing things how it happened. But just to catch all up, remember we went ahead and we already did our front and back cover and matted everything on there. I am going to add some elements here to the pocket. And if you haven't noticed, I did believe I put a video of a Tuesday morning haul, and I got this really pretty cutting mat. It's because the background was just kind of like going off on me and peeling and tearing and stuff. So I got this really nice mat. It was only like 14 bucks, guys. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to get started with making the pages. Now you are going to need 4 pages. And the measurements that you are going to have to follow, let me go ahead and you're going to need for this part of the tutorial is going to be your scoring board and your paper trimmer. I have a 2-in-1. You're going to need a bone folder, your scoring tool, ATG tape or wet glue, whatever it is that you want to use, score tape, and you are going to need I'm using 110-pound white cardstock pages, so you're going to need that. I am also going to be trimming or using an edge punch. So this is the one that I have here from EK Success, a very small scalloped one. So you do need a paper punch. You don't have to, it's optional, but I am going to. And let's see what else. I think for now that's it. Oh, and your design paper. You know, like you can't forget that one. Hello. So yeah, you're gonna have to excuse me if I make a few mistakes. I am filming this probably, it's like midnight or close to 1 in the morning in Texas. So everyone's asleep. My baby's fast asleep along with her daddy and my other 2. So this is time for me to work. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me clear all this out. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is some white cardstock. You're going to cut this at 8.5 by 6 1/4 by 8.5. This is already 8.5, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this at 6 1/4. And then I'm going to score this. I'm going to put it at the 8.5 side, and I am going to score this at 1.5 half. Rotate it and score it again at half. And go ahead and fold, increase, oops. Put this aside. Now you're going to need another page that measures 6 1/4 by 7.5. So I'm going to get an 8.5 each side and trim that down to 7.5. You see, it's getting jammed. I think I need to buy myself another trimmer. 7.5. Put that to the side, and then 6 1/4. 6 1/4. Okay, so this is the base page. This is going to be put just like so, and this is going to be laid right on top, just like that. And once it's done, you're going to see that it fits into the page just perfectly, and I'll show you in just a second. So in order to put this together, you're going to grab some score tape or double-sided tape, whatever it is that you have, and put it along the flap. Get the other side. Let's make sure we furnish. And take off the backing. Now I see. This is how I find it easiest to do. Let me remove my scoreboard from here. this is the easiest way I find in doing this. I know there's other people who have other methods and stuff, but so far this is what's worked for me. I line up the page right along the folded side, just like so. Come on. Just like that. Make sure it's nice and even. And then I just fold the flap over. Just like that. And I find that I get it right at the edge where it's supposed to be. So you see, nice and flat. Then to adhere this, I know I've seen Rosa from Rosa Kelly Scrapbooking. She does this a lot. If I can just get the tape. What she does this, folds it, make sure that it adheres nice and good, and that it's nice and straight the way she wants it, and boom. There you go. There's your page. Now, you're going to see that if you put it in your cover, in your book, this is going to slip in right into the hinge, and you got your page. So you're going to repeat the exact same steps for the next 3 pages. And I'll let you go ahead and do that now, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Now, here are my 4 pages. Just the exact same way that I showed you how to do the first one. Now I'm going to have us create our inserts. And our inserts are going to measure 6.5 by 7 1/4. And I already have 3 of them made. Just to save a little bit of time, you need your scoreboard and your, well actually not your scoreboard, just your paper trimmer. This measures, this is the insert right here. This measures 6.5 by 7 1/4. And the reason why it's 7 1/4, it's a 1/4 inch smaller than your page, is that way it can fit nice and snug inside the page without actually bulking and getting stuck. And I made it a little longer. The page is 6 1/4, and I made the insert 6.5, simply so that way if you do use a border punch, it kind of sticks out like that. So if you're not wanting to use a border punch, you don't have to. It'll just either be sticking out that much, or if you want to make it as even to the page, I don't suggest it because it's kind of hard to pull it out if it's not, if you don't have anything to hold on to. That would be 6 1/4. So let's go ahead and get some more of our white tag board, and let's cut this at 7 1/4, 7 1/4 by 6.5. Now you are going to need 4 of these. Make sure you cut 4 of the same size. Now you don't, this next step is optional, but you are to punch on the 6 1/4 side, which is this side right here. So I'm going to get my edge punch right here. It doesn't have to be this one, it could be anyone. And I'm really bad when it comes to punching, guys, so if I stop the video to redo a page, you know, please forgive me. I'm still kind of getting used to these punches. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so here we have all 4 inserts punched and ready to go. So we're going to set this to the side. Now it's time to work on our first page and all the elements that are going to go with it. So I'm going to grab my first page right here. And sometimes I might stop to mat only because I need to, but we'll leave the matting until the end, and I'll try and give you the measurements for everything that we're doing. Okay, so for first page, we're going to do somewhat like an envelope type of closure flap on it. So what you're going to need is your paper trimmer and scoreboard, of course. Let's put the page off to the side. You're going to need the first piece to be 6 1/4 by 4. So let's go ahead and cut this at 4, and then 6 1/4. Oops, just like that. And you're going to score at 1/2 inch on the 4-inch side. Just like that. Next, and let's set it off to the side. We're not done with that yet. Next piece is going to be, again, 6 1/4 by 5 1/2. So 6 1/4 by 5 1/2, and on the 5 1/2 side, we're going to score yet again 1/2 inch. Fold that, and as you can see, this is my page. We're going to make this little element right here. So this is the bottom flap. This is going to get adhered to the top, so it's a top flap, and it makes it like a little envelope closure. Now I'm going to round my corners in just a bit, but we are going to add a little pocket down here, so you are going to need to grab another piece of paper. It could be one of your scraps, like these are one of my scraps, and make sure that it measures 7 1/4 by 2 1/2. 6 1/4 by 2 1/2. Let's see, 6 1/4. No, I was right the first time. 7 1/4, and I'll tell you exactly why. I'm confusing myself. Here we go. 7 1/4 by 2 1/2. So here on the 2 1/2 side, you're going to score 1/2 inch. On the 7 1/4 side, you're going to score 1/2 inch on one side, rotate it, 1/2 inch on the other. Now you're going to fold all the sides, like so. So this is what's going to fold in and create a pocket right here on the bottom flap, just like that. Now I am going to use my decorative punch to punch right here, and I will show you how that looks in just a second. Okay, so there you go. Let me clean this up a little bit, and here is my pocket, all nice and pretty punched. Now let's go ahead and put this page together. And what we're going to need is a score tape. Here's the top. Remember, you need to make sure the opening is to the right and to the left. This is the top, this is the bottom, and this is the opening where our insert's going to be at. So what I'm going to do is adhere these right here to the flaps to the page. And for that, you're going to need your score tape. Set that along. Now I am using 1/4 inch core tape. Oh my gosh, 1/4 inch score tape. There you go. If you're using 1/2 inch, it's going to be right at the edge, so make sure it's not here on the score line. So here we go. And all I'm going to do is miter my corners just a little bit. So a little triangle starting from the score line in, just a tiny sliver. And then just like that, see? And do the same thing over here. It just makes it easier, in my opinion. Okay, so now I'm going to get my page and start putting these things in here. I have no nails. I so need to go get them done because they're getting to me. I'm telling you that right now. Okay, so here we are. Here's the bottom. And I'm going to make sure this is perfectly lined up to the bottom, just like so, and to the sides, just like that. There you go. Boom. Now let's do the same thing to the top. I'm just going to flip it around though, because it makes it a lot easier to do that. Again, right, make sure it's aligned. Just like so. There we go. Just like that. And it's going to close just like this. Make sure that the shorter one goes on top. Now to attach the pocket, same thing. You need your score tape. Align it all the way across. And let's go ahead and burnish and miter your corners off just a tad. Now I do an angle towards the score line and then an angle down from the score line. So it kind of does a little angle there, if you see what I'm saying. And then now to attach it, now to adhere it. I usually like taking these off first and attaching the bottom to the sides. Oh my gosh, I'm having so much trouble with the score tape today. Might be because it's 1 in the morning. Now attach it like that. And then remove this back tape backing right from there. And then now this is my page, this is my bottom, this is my top. Bottom's going to stay as is. The top, when you fold it down, I want a little pocket right here. And this is going to go like that. But if you notice, I'm going to have a little trouble matting it if I don't mat it. Now, I like matting before, just so that way I can not have trouble inserting the mat behind it. So before I go ahead and tape that, I'm going to put that to the side. And I am going to cut out the mat for the bottom and for this one might as well, because I'm going to add a ribbon closure to that. So let me go ahead and get my paper trimmer and scoreboard. Let me move this punch out of the way. These are the two papers I decided to use. For the matting, I am going to need this large piece right here to be 6 by 7 1/4. So that's what I'm going to cut this at. Let me go ahead and trim this top portion out, and make sure, since it is a vertical page, I have to make sure that the 6-inch is facing right here, so that way it's aligned correctly. And you know what I mean, like it's not the children are not like sideways on the paper. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that at 6 by 7 1/4. And that's going to go right there. Do you see that? Just like that, with the white, small white border around it. Sorry, the bottom mat is going to be 6 by 4 3/4. Now I'm not going to mat everything front and back. I'm just matting it because I need to add the pocket. So I'm going to do a 6 by 4 3/4. And make sure you're saving all this paper, guys, because we're going to end up using it again. So this is actually, here are my scraps. I'm going to put these to the side. And this is going to get matted there. And that's going to get matted there. So that way I can add my pocket to it. So let me go ahead and do that now. And we will go ahead and get started with the back page, back part. Okay, so I have done and finished matting these two parts, and I'm going to go ahead and attach my pocket just like so at the very edge. And I'm not going to be matting that, but now it's a pretty nice little pocket right there, and a flap just like that. Now I was going to close this with a ribbon, and I just completely forgot that I was going to put the ribbon there first, then mat it. So what I'm going to do now, I guess, is I am going to adhere a magnet here and here. You are going to need both a positive and a negative. So let's go ahead and pop those out. Now they do have a sticky back, but honestly, I'm not too comfortable with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some double-sided tape to the bottom to make sure they overlap right there. And I'm going to adhere one right above it, right there. And then this one's going to go right on top, just like that. And I'm going to put another double-sided tape right here to make sure it sticks. Now when I close it, they're ready to go. And put another double-sided tape there for when I'm at. Okay, so there's the closure. There's a magnet closure right there. And this is pretty much page 1. Boom, boom, and here's my pocket. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay, so far so good, Elizabeth. It's not going too bad. Thank you guys for staying with me, by the way. Now, second page. Second page, we are going to go ahead and just have just a little flap opening off to the left. Now, you're going to get another piece of white cardstock, and we're going to do the second element of the first page. You're going to need to cut this at 6 3/4 by 7 1/2. So 6 3/4 by 7 1/2. And I'm going to put my paper on the 6 3/4 side, and I am going to score on that half mark. Make sure you fold it and you crease with your bone folder. Add your score tape. So there we go. Beautiful, beautiful. And there we go. There you have it. So if you were to take your album, this is actually going to be opening up. This is the opening. So, come on. This is going to be inserted into this first hinge, like so. Oops, wrong way. Just like this. There you go. So here we go. We open it up. This is the first page. It opens up, opens down. Here's a pocket, closes, and then you turn it. When you turn it, all you're going to have is this element opening up and 2 big spaces for photos. And that's page 1. Pretty neat, huh? Not too bad. Okay, stick with us and we will go ahead and get started on working with page number 2. Okay guys, page number 2, very simple. We're going to need an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. Again, I'm using 110 pound, and you are going to cut this in half. So we're going to cut along the 8.5 side. We're going to go ahead and trim that and cut that at 4 1/4. Move that to the side. 4 1/4. So now we have 2 half pieces. And now we're going to score at 3 1/2, 7, and 10 1/2 on both pieces. So line this up. You're at 11. So we're going to score at 3 1/2. We're going to score at 7. And then we're going to score at 10 1/2. Same thing over here. 3 1/2, 7. Now here I am, instead of scoring at 10 1/2, all I'm going to do is flip this over and I'm going to trim 1/2 inch. So this right here is going to end up getting trimmed at 10 1/2. So instead of scoring half, we're cutting half off. just like that. There you go. Now what we're going to do is fold these, fold it over, and then flip it, fold it back. So now you have a little zigzag type thing going. And do the same thing with this one. Fold it, crease it nice and well, fold it over, and then this flap, you fold it back. Now you have this going on. So what we're going to do is attach this hinge over here, and you're going to end up looking at this. So we have now a little accordion book. So we're going to go ahead and need some double-sided tape right here. Make sure that you do not go directly above that score line because it's going to make it difficult for it to fold over. And now we have this, and we have to make sure it folds accordion style. So in, back, in, back, in. There you go. Nice and easy. Now this back side, this is what I'm going to adhere to my page. This is my page 2. But before I can stick it on there, I do need to mat again, once again, this back page. The matting for this large page is going to be 6 by 7 1/4. And we will go ahead and do just that. So that's what we're going to go ahead and cut. We're going to cut this in half, 6 by 7 1/4. And go ahead and stick this on there. So this is going to go on there like that. The double-sided tape right on the edge there. Okay, so here's my page. Make sure this is nice and even. Now, this is going to go right in the middle, but I do need my ribbon closure, and this is the color I'm going to be using. This is a ribbon from Hobby Lobby Ribbon Boutique. It's like a sheer yellow, and I just love the way it looks. So I'm going to attach this right here. I want to make sure before I cut it, before I glue it, that I do have enough. And I'll tell you the measurements right now for it. Yep. Okay, so the amount that I'm cutting right now is 16. I'm measuring it on my pad. About 24 inches long, but you might get away with 20 or 22, depending on how you want to put it. So I'm going to put my wet glue a line straight down the middle on the back. And make sure this is folded in half. Don't want one side longer than the other. And crease it, and make sure that crease is in the middle of my book. So just about there. And then this is going to get matted to that. And I'm going to go ahead and use my wet glue for that. I honestly prefer, this is Fabri-Tac glue by the way, I honestly prefer using wet glue simply because since I am kind of starting at all this, I do tend to make quite a bit of mistakes, and with the double side, like the ATG tape, there's no room for errors. Like once it gets stuck, it gets stuck. But with wet glue, it kind of does. Like you have a few seconds of moving your paper around. Okay, so I'm going to adhere this right in the center. Just like so. And then this is going to tie. So here is my bow, and I'm going to go ahead and trim these off just a little bit, and there you have it. There you go. A little glittery there because of the ribbon. So now we'll go ahead, this opens and you have your picture mats there and then off to the other side. Or you can just flip it this way. Pretty neat. Okay, so the mats that you are going to need for this accordion fold little element, the matting for these right here is going to be 4 by 3 1/4, or 3 1/4 by 4, and you're going to need 10 pieces of that. Okay, so don't forget, you're going to need 10 pieces of 4 or 3 1/4 by 4, and don't forget the orientation of your paper. If you have paper that have like images and stuff, make sure that they are facing vertically. So that's the front page part of page 2. Now the back. Let's go ahead and get started with that. The back of page 2 is simply going to have just a basic belly band. I love the way belly bands look, and I really wanted to add this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my scrap pieces and make sure that the length measures 7 1/4. So here we go, 7 1/4 by 3 inches. There's my 3. And we're going to go ahead, let me take these papers out of the way. We're going to score on the 7 1/4 side. We're going to score at 1/2 inch. Turn it and score at 1/2 inch. Okay. Fold that, very nice and crisp. And add our score tape. Varnish, varnish, varnish. And we're going to add that right here in the middle. Again, you need to add a belly band. I usually like matting before I add any other elements on top, like a pocket or something. It just makes it look a lot cleaner. So now I'm going to pick out paper for that. Okay, so this is the paper that I'm going to use to mat the back of page 2. And again, the measurements for your matting is going to be 6 by 7 1/4. And this is a plaid pattern, so it doesn't matter. So 6 by 7 1/4. Take this off to the side. Move my scoreboard and my paper cutter. Grab my page, and I'm going to go ahead and mat this. Adhere this here. Make sure it's nice and lined up. There you go. Finish that really well. And now for our belly band. And where did it run off to? There it is. Now our belly band's going to go right here in the middle. Now I'm going to adhere it to one side first and then the other. Just make sure that it's right in the middle where I want it. Right. Beautiful. So there I have my accordion fold and my belly band. And this is the end of page 2, guys. I'm probably going to stop here and make another video for page 3 and 4 and the front and back cover, and we will be done. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you've liked so far what you've seen. I know it's a little bit of rough and I'm a little bit of shaky. It's my first time, but hey, we can do this. I can do this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do not forget to live passionately through what you do. Craft as often as you can and love endlessly. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends. We'll see you on next time. Bye.